things are. Also, check out our Facebook, www.wherethescarythingsare.com. I don't know why I say www. It's not like just type it in. Type it into the Googles, Google it. We're there, where the scary things are. I'm your host with the most, the one, the only, Monster Mash Ken. And with me is my co-host, the Mistress of Darkness, the Queen of Fright, the Lady of the Night, Muse. She's probably laughing because we had a little pre-show get-together, and we're talking about how much of a loser squad we are. And, how you doing, Muse?
I'm good. Just over here being a big loser, as usual. As always.
So, I got a good question for you tonight. Has your husband ever accidentally hurt you?
Yeah, oh yeah. We roughhouse
Let's
all the
keep it
time.
PG, okay? We don't need to know about
Well, not we're not
anything
going
crazy.
there. That's a different podcast. But no, we roughhouse a lot. I'm kind of a tomboy when it comes to like playing around. I've always been that way. And I always try to beat him up. He's bigger than me, and and accidentally, he has. But I've also accidentally hurt him. So I don't know. There's lawsuits involved. I don't know. I can't talk about it here.
You didn't like blind him or anything, did you?
No, not yet. Hopefully not ever.
Well, we'll see,
Right.
All right. So a man that definitely would blind you with his good looks is Chris the Creature Zissy. What's up, my friend?
I tell you, it's been busy. I think I posted 3 reviews today, all from different sources, and I am having a great time. I got my son with me. Had a great Thanksgiving. Had both kids home, and it just does not get any better than it is right now in the Zizzy Mansion here in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Well, another man who has his son with him, I'm sorry, his intern, looks just like him though, is Dexter and Horror from PromoteHorror.com. How you fellas doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing good here. Dexter's on screen. You can actually actually see his good looks here, bald hair, and it's actually cold down here in Miami, so people are
No, it's
freaking
not.
out. Yeah, well, for our standards, well, at least for other, I'm hot as hell still, but for other people's standard, it is hot as hell, except for this bag of bones here, and people are all freaking out about it. And I guess we're going to be talking about freaks tonight, so I guess it fits the story.
Yeah, I'm very excited. We are going to be talking about the movie that comes out on the 4th, I believe, Castle Freak. Now, this movie its title says what it is pretty much, and it is a remake. So really excited to get into that and get into what this movie's about. I want to hear what Chris's review is. I'm sure it's going to be something great. And we'll have a really nice guest on later on in the second part of the show. I got to ask you before I crack open my beer here, how was everybody's Thanksgiving? Chris, you mentioned that you had the kids home. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, we had a great time. We've got a little tradition. We eat, of course, around noon or 1. And then we head over to the Rappahannock River and take a long walk. And for the last few years, for November 20, whatever, the weather's been like 60, 65 degrees. So it's, and then we just sort of vegged out and played a couple of games later on. And it was nice.
Muse, how about you? How was Thanksgiving in Casa de Muse?
Pretty quiet. I just watched Thanksgiving stuff all day. I watched Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. I always have to watch that every year, and just hung out and ate way too much food and all that fun stuff. Nothing really too crazy. Stayed home, and that was about it.
Yeah, and how about you, Dexter and Horo?
Well, Dexter took. Yeah, I don't know if you were following online. He took the car and went God knows where. So I don't know where the hell he went. It's a good thing he doesn't get.
He didn't look like he didn't look like he ate much. He didn't eat much. He looked thin.
He's not a big eater. I don't know what his problem is. And for me, I just watched a bunch of crappy football. The only interesting game they postponed, so we were left with. Oh, sorry, the Lions played. Sorry, but still, yeah, it was just bad football.
I did wear my Raider shirt today, even though they got smoked by the Falcons. But it is what it is. I was really grumpy over the weekend.
Yeah, me too. I was just like, I'm done with football today.
It's a sad state of affairs, and the Dolphins have the record that they have. It just is. But I'm not buying it. Don't. I'm not trying to be cocky here. I'm not buying it. I even told you last week they still suck. I don't care what you say.
Well, we'll see. The Raiders play them in a couple weeks here, so we'll see how that goes. So I gotta jump right into the Fear the Beer of the Week and the horror movie Flashback. I got a really good beer here. Just open this bad boy up. Oh, sorry. I hit the mic. This one, I'm going to kick off. It is December 1st, so winter is coming. Brace yourselves. I've only watched like one or two of the episodes of Game of Thrones, but I always say that winter's coming. Brace yourself. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to start off with winter beers this month, and the first one I'm going to try, and I may have had this in the past, not on the show, but this is a Sam Adams Winter Lager. Very basic beer, nothing special, not one of my crazy beers, but I wanted to try it because I do like Sam Adams a lot, and they do put out some good stuff. But this is a lager brewed with orange peel, cinnamon, and ginger. Cheers to you guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Ooh, yeah. That is a really good... This is a beer that, if you just had a bunch of them, you can probably drink like 6 of them and still be standing still. I like that beer. That's a good beer. All right. My horror movie Flashback is a really, really good one, and it does take place in the winter. In 1990, we saw Stephen King's Misery come out, and this one stars James Caan and Kathy Bates as Annie Wilkes. And if you have not seen this movie, once again, you're just not living life. There are some great scenes in there, some great liners, really creepy stuff. Annie Wilkes, Kathy Bates really just is creepy, and poor James Caan. There is this one of the most memorable scenes ever in a horror movie, I guess. But yeah, with the hammer and a leg, and yep, I love it. So Jeff, definitely check that out and drink a Sam Adams Winter Lager. And that is the horror movie Flashback and the Fear the Beer of the Week. I'm going to pass it on over to Muse for the Sinister Six.
All right. You guys know I love my villains, and I talk a lot about them, and this is going to be no different. So I thought a different angle about talking about villains would be, what about the villains that were actually right to be angry or take revenge? There are a lot of horror movies out there that actually you identify with the villain. And you're kind of like, you know what? I don't blame them. I kind of get it. So I'm going to swing back around to the guys like I always do, because I love hearing their answers, because they always touch on things that I missed, because I only have 6, so the guys always kind of fill in the blanks and give some really great answers, or maybe even some I didn't think of that I'm like, yes. All right, so number 1, jumping right in, is Carrie White from Carrie. Obviously, Sissy Spacek, here is absolutely fantastic. We don't blame Carrie. I don't blame Carrie for freaking out at the prom. I really don't. She was tormented. It seems like most of her life. I don't think this just started in high school. I think she had been tormented by the kids at her school and in her neighborhood for a long, long time. And I think she just finally broke at the prom. I think that was it. I think that was the final straw. And we love this one. This is Brian De Palma's 1976 classic, based on the novel by Stephen King, which I still need to read, which I hear is absolutely stellar. But yeah, Carrie White as one that I really identify with. And you really kind of are like cheering at the end there as the whole place burns down. And has a very tragic end, which was, I think, the part that I did not like, but I kind of understand the whole scene at the prom. So that's the first one. The second one is Jason Voorhees and / Pamela Voorhees from Friday the 13th. And I'm talking about the original here because this is kind of where everything jumped off. We all understand Pamela Voorhees' anger about losing her only son. And I've talked about this before. She trusted him in the care of these teenagers who were having premarital sex, as Chris fondly loves to call it. We love when he says that. And doing all kinds of stuff, probably smoking all kinds of grass and all kinds of crazy stuff. Basically totally ignoring poor Jason, who could not swim, obviously, and he drowned. So Pamela Voorhees does everything she can to not let this happen again. I kind of feel like Pamela here just didn't want to see this happen to somebody else. And she was angry. She was like, this has got to stop. These teenagers that aren't going to do what they're supposed to do. They're not taking care. They're not taking responsibility. Let's just shut the whole place down. And of course that didn't work. So she started off in people. But she was an angry mother, a hurt mother, a vengeful mother, was her only child. And of course, we identify with Jason as well. I mean, he saw his mother beheaded. I mean, come on. I mean, who wouldn't want to kill every single camp counselor around after that? You dare come back on my property after killing my mother? I'm going to kill every one of you. So I totally, I get it. I understand Jason. Him and his mom are very close, and I can't say I blame him there. I don't know what kind of reaction that's going to get, but I don't blame him. The third is an interesting one, is Jigsaw from the movie Saw, and focuses on the character of John Kramer. And there's an interesting story here. So John Kramer was denied life in more ways than one. All right. If you remember, he and his wife, Jill, lost their unborn child when a drug addict at her rehab clinic had slammed a door into her stomach. I mean, Later, John was diagnosed with an operable cancer. So when John had survived, he tried to commit suicide. He survived the suicide attempt. He gained a new appreciation for life that the rest of the world didn't share, in his opinion. He saw everyone taking life for granted, and he decided he could use his considerable civil engineering skills to change them. And I think that John Kramer was definitely doing it in a way that most people wouldn't. But if you think about it, Jigsaw himself never actually killed anyone. He set up elaborate puzzles for them to find their way out of, usually confronting a serious character flaw in the process that was always revealed. So if they made it out alive, it was because they'd learned to be better people. So the important thing about a true jigsaw trap is that it was always escapable. Remember that. So there was always a way out. So this was providing the victim could muster the strength to find it, of course. So more often than not, those who survived emerged grateful for the experience, and they went on to learn from Jigsaw, bringing his unique brand of instant rehabilitation to more people. So that's kind of I really loved that one. And I actually saw an article, and I read that straight from the article about this. And I thought that is so true. He was just trying to give people a greater appreciation of life. Now, I know people out there like, boo, he did it the wrong way. Well, everybody has their ways of dealing with what they consider flaws in humanity. So that was John Kramer's way as Jigsaw. So that's the third one. My fourth one is Frankenstein's monster from Frankenstein. I felt so sorry for Frankenstein's monster here throughout the whole movie, portrayed by Boris Karloff, the classic. Especially the part where they have the little girl and she's down by the water and she's throwing flowers in. All really Frankenstein wanted was to be understood. He didn't ask to be made and created, but here he was thrust into this world, and because he didn't understand what was going on, people were afraid of him. He was angry. And I don't think that he was really meaning harm to anybody, but I think that when push came to shove, he finally defended himself, and I think that was kind of like the way it kind of like my take on it. But I just kind of felt like Frankenstein was just really misunderstood. And I felt great sympathy for Frankenstein's monster. So I'm not sure what the viewpoint is on that. I've heard other people say similar things, but I really kind of felt hurt my heart every time. And the part where he throws a little girl in the water, I'm like, oh, that's so awful, because he just didn't understand. He didn't understand what he was doing. And he, like I said, he's just thrust in this world where he's just supposed to try to make sense of it. And that would be really terrifying, no matter who it happened to. So that's my fourth. The fifth are the ghosts and the spirits from Poltergeist. Who wouldn't be pissed? You guys are like digging up a cemetery, building houses on people's burial grounds. Like, what are you doing? And just moving the headstones? What a bastard move that is. I mean, seriously. I mean, he didn't move the bodies, he moved the headstones. Of course they're pissed. The people are living on top of them, totally disrespecting their final resting place. Yeah. And I mean, they take their revenge. And I think that some of the spirits here are just trying to find their way. They're trying to figure out where they're supposed to go after they've died. Some of them don't realize they've died. So it's just a lot of just confusion and chaos and just fear, and I can't even imagine being a spirit that's just lost and it doesn't understand where you're supposed to go. And you have this little girl that can help you, but then, she's not doing it. She's scared. It just would be a mess. So I definitely understand the ghost spirits from Poltergeist. And the sixth one is the Gill Man from Creature from the Black Lagoon. And I might have stole Chris's answer there. But, I threw that one in because I love Chris. And I love the fact that one of his favorite horror movies of all time is a universal classic, Creature from the Black Lagoon. The Gill Man, I think, is like seriously misunderstood creature here. Just trying to connect with humanity. Come on, leave the guy alone. He falls in love with this beautiful woman and just denied that just because their romance doesn't make sense to other people. Come on. I mean, maybe that might be a stretch for some people, but I that's how I kind of view it. I felt sympathy for the Gill Man. I always liked the Gill Man, and I just never understood why he was considered a monster when I was a kid. Same thing with Frankenstein's monster. I kind of understood some of the others, but those two I always felt sympathy for. And it's a great classic. And I just kind of feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding there because of just being, he's this creature that people don't understand, and he's trying to connect with, a human being, and people aren't going to have it. And, I think that's kind of like a metaphor. People turn things into monsters and scary things when they don't understand what they're about. And I think that is kind of like one of the universal themes of the Universal monster movies, is that when we don't understand something, we turn it into a fear. And that is such a mistake, because we really miss out on a lot when we don't, when we just ignore and fear that which we don't understand. So that's my top Sinister Six of villains who are actually right to be angry. So I'm going to swing around to Chris this time, to start out with Chris and ask him I hope I didn't steal his answer, what some of his choices are.
They stole two, but I came up with four, so I got a couple. Let's talk about I Spit on Your Grave, Camille Keaton and Sarah Butler. They were vicious, and we were glad they were vicious. I tell you, it's one of those movies where part of the conviction in it is how you feel about the movie and what's going on, and how you feel about the carnage. And very interesting reactions to the movie. And what's more interesting is our reaction to Camille Keaton or Sarah Butler after they commit the carnage. And boy, this movie I haven't seen since it first came out. Species with Natasha Henstridge. Again, everybody oohs and ahs when she's beautiful, and then she turns into a monster and they scream. And what do you expect? So those were the four movies. The two that you didn't mention that came to mind.
All right, I love that. I Spit on Your Grave. I totally related to that. I'm not going to say what I would have done there for fear of legal action, but I think they got what they deserved. John in the chat there said, "You're damn right, they got what they deserved," and they absolutely did. I love both of your choices. I Spit on Your Grave is one of my favorite classics. Really brutal. May not be for everybody, but I love it. I love it, especially the classic. All right, so what about you, Ken? I'm curious to hear your choices.
Yeah, I gotta shout out John and Alexis and Mike in the chat here. Thanks for joining the show. We appreciate everybody that always jumps in and out. Facebook as well. Listen, John brought up a really good one here. Two of them. One of them I was gonna say was Toxic Avenger, Toxie. He got screwed up and he had to go out there and regulate. And then the Elephant Man. I mean, yeah. The Elephant Man, very misunderstood there. I got sad. John admitted that he cried in this one. Sorry, John, to put you on blast.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Hey.
all two of our listeners is going to know that you cried. But I'm just kidding. Listen, I watched Elephant Man when I was younger, but that's definitely one that's definitely misunderstood. The King of Monsters, Godzilla, very misunderstood. I mean, he's chilling. He's doing his thing. It's not his fault that humans dumped all this radioactive shit into the oceans, and he had to come out and then save him after he gets, they're treating him bad, and then he has a bigger heart than everybody, and he's got to go and kill these other monsters. It's all a big misunderstanding. So I got to go with the King of the Monsters, Godzilla. Horror would, and you could say King Kong for that matter too. He was chilling in the jungle. Chilling in the jungle.
How that ended.
Yeah. Then they brought him over in chains, and he's like, "All right, now I'm gonna have to fuck shit up," and he does. Right. And good for him.
Horror, go. King Kong was great. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Omar.
I was kind of thinking, and Dexter's really excited about your Poltergeist answer. That he loved that one. Go skeletons and ghosts, I guess. I was kind of thinking, what about Hannibal? And what about all cannibals in movies? I mean, they just want to eat, right? I mean, they're just hungry. I mean, come on.
Zombies too, right?
Yeah, zombies too.
Yeah.
They're just hungry. I mean, they just want to eat. I mean, it's not their fault that, we're their food. I mean, I guess, it's the same thing. You walk in the jungle, the lion eats you. Hey, give food. I mean, whatever. I don't know. So maybe Hannibal. Um, what about Candyman?
Yes.
Going back, I was thinking you said Jason, so I was thinking about the slashers. I guess Freddy would be kind of unappropriate there. I guess they burned him for good reason. But
Right.
yeah, Candyman um, is one, and then I was thinking, what about Let the Right One In? Let's jump over to the vampires there. The little, the everybody was afraid. There was some creature here in the background, and the guy was kind of hiding her, but at the end of the day, she was just protecting the little boy. I mean, besides that, she seemed to be okay and hiding in the box. But I guess we'll take that. But yeah, go cannibals.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Jaws is a good one too. I mean,
Oh
we're
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we're in his house. We're in the ocean. Get out of this shark's house. He's got to eat too. I mean, come on. I mean,
Humans
drive
are the
forward.
bad ones. Humans are the bad
Right,
ones.
we're jumping toxic waste again with the
Yes.
zombies. A lot of times it was a result of toxic waste in some zombie movies, and it was all human error. A lot of it,
Summoning
last
demons. When you bring in demons, they're
yes,
chilling. Pinhead was chilling, doing freaky shit. And then he gets interrupted, and I'm gonna have to tear your soul apart for interrupting me. Yeah, it's all of us. We just screw things up all the time.
Yeah,
just really answering the call. I mean, they say you opened the box and we came. It's what they're supposed to do. It's not like they're wanting to be there. They're like, excuse me.
Cujo, Alexis says Cujo on the chat
Yes,
here. That's a really good one. Cujo, like he was
Cujo.
a good dog, and he got bit by the bats. Right? It was a bat that had rabies, I
rabies.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
Yes,
was a
yep.
good dog.
I
Yeah,
felt so bad for
that
Cujo.
damn kid was a little brat. He deserved to get chewed up.
yeah, unbelievable.
Good,
Yeah, I
good.
felt bad for the dog in that. I've heard that too with Cujo, and that's an excellent one. That's a great answer. So many good
Yeah,
answers. So yeah, that's
good
that's
topic. Good topic this week. Yeah,
I thought that would be
compared to other
fun. I actually
weeks.
got that inspiration from an article, and I thought, oh yeah, let's do that. That would be kind of cool, fun to talk about.
Yeah, good stuff. Good answers all around. Let's get into the horror rundown with Promote Horror and Horo and Dexter and his trophy in the back that he didn't win.
Dexter. Yeah, no, I didn't win that trophy. So you guys are getting a sneak peek of the background here, but because Dexter insists on being on camera at least a little bit, a little bit. I mean, and if you notice too, he's kind of ahead of me. You should be behind me next time you're sitting behind me, big man. I don't know what the deal is here, but so since tonight we're doing a remake, I'm not gonna sit here and kind of complain about one. I guess that would be bad manners. So instead, I'm going to talk about something that Muse said she was inspired by an article she found, and I guess I'm inspired today by a tweet that I saw. I guess maybe Twitter's not the best place to get your inspiration, but whatever. Um, so we talk about remakes not being very original, and but what about names of movies? That can also have a serious lack of originality there. And the tweet I saw kind of mentioned Emmyville, and I guess the person who tweeted it said something like they had seen 22 Emmyville movies, and I kind of was like, what? There was 22, and I was a little shocked by that. And I know obviously that's a good topic there, and a lot that you can do. Whether you're referring specifically to what happened there, or you just like to throw the name in there for whatever reason. But so I swung over to IMDb, of course, and I had to do a little investigation. And when I put that in there as far as movie titles, it comes up with 46 movie titles with Emmyville in it. So I'm like, holy shit, that is way too much. I mean, I know these aren't remakes. We complain about remakes. These aren't remakes. But in a way, they are, because you're, or at least some of them. I can't say that I've seen probably most of these movies, because I was shocked at how many of them there were. But if you're centering them, I'm going to assume at least a good chunk of them are centered around a certain topic. That's kind of close to a remaking, or at least rehashing a topic. Maybe credit for some for expanding and going in a different direction with it, depending on what it is. I'm sure Chris on his blog probably has some of those Emmyville remakes or whatever topics they are. Um, I'll mention a couple here. Of course, we have the original, and the original Amityville Horror. I think there's 3 or 4 of them listed just by themselves. Uh, you have Amityville 3D, Amityville Murders, uh, Amityville Toy Box, Amityville Exorcism, And an interesting one, Amityville in the Hood. I have not seen that one. I'm definitely going to have to do some inquiring on that. So, that's just kind of another, I kind of keep taking this remake and doing different angles with it. And this is just a different way of doing it. Um, so I was kind of curious. So I threw in a couple other words here just to see how many titles we have here. And one of the words I threw in, and this is all on IMDb, so you can go throw in have fun and play a game with it. Throw in a word there to see how many titles come up with it. I threw in Asylum, and that gets over 200 results. Movies like Asylum Blackout, Asylum of Fear, Dark Asylum, Asylum of Satan, and there was even American Horror Story Asylum. So for those who saw the show. So yeah, I mean, they're movie titles. Some of them are episodes of things. So maybe not every single one of them is a movie, but that just tells you, hey, asylums were used a lot in horror movies. Let's see, what is another one here? I tried to pick maybe a little bit less of a common word, but I guess there's a lot of results for this one. Is babysitter. Got 200 results for this one too. Obviously, The Babysitter. There's several movies just entitled that. There's My Babysitter's a Vampire, Babysitter Massacre, Babysitter Murders, Babysitter Must Die. So yeah, we don't like babysitters. For whatever reason, I'm sure. Again, Chris has reviewed plenty of titles, either Asylum or Babysitters on his blog. There's a couple other words I threw in there just to see, but you can have some fun with it and use really common horror words and come up with quite a few. And then maybe try some other things. So again, kind of, not remakes, and well, some of them might be remakes, but kind of rehashing the same topics. So again, we're looking for originality in horror and trying to expand and come up with new ideas. Maybe we need some new titles. Maybe we need to expand. Maybe have it based on Asylum, but don't name it Asylum, whatever, Massacre, Killings, or whatever. Come up with something different. So I kind of throw that out there. So I'm going to throw it to you guys and see your thoughts on the subject, the topic, and maybe a word that you would like to throw in IMDb and see how many different titles there are for that. So I'm going to go just like Muse did. I'm going to go to Chris first, since I'm sure he knows plenty.
Women's Prison Massacre, Drive-In Massacre, Zombie Massacre. You put Massacre in the title, it is going on my blog. And if I watch the movie and it's nothing, I'll make up the plot and put it in. But Massacre, interesting. A lot of people don't know this. What was that movie? Massacre at Central High. It came out in the 70s. Anticlimactic, almost dull movie, but 4 days before, and no one got this except for me, 4 days before Columbine, the Massacre at Columbine, this was on late night TV on TBS. And I often wondered if the two shooters, Dylan and Klebold, saw this movie, Massacre at Central High, and it was a Saturday night, really Sunday morning. And then on that Tuesday morning, I think is when they went into school and shot it up. Apocalypse is another one. Resident Evil Apocalypse, Zombie Apocalypse, you name it. If it's got Apocalypse in the title, it's good. You got two movies, Monster Apocalypse on Channel A and Gretchen and Miles on Lifetime. Which one are you going to watch? And of course, Omar, you wrote about this and just a few days ago in M's Magazine, but you put Cannibal in the title. That must have hundreds and hundreds, maybe 1,000 hits on IMDb. And those were the first few words that came to mind.
Awesome. All good choices. Yeah, I did Cannibals. I didn't even think of Cannibals. But yeah, I should put that in there. Ken, you want to go?
Yeah, I was thinking of House, like House of this or House of that. That's something that's used a lot. And it's weird that you brought this up because we watch all these horror movies, obviously, and we get ideas. And I know you were writing something, and Chris writes his books, and I'm sure Muse has all these brilliant ideas. Like, I wish they did this in a movie, that in a movie, and I'm working with a friend, and we're maybe going to write out a script here, and I was thinking of a title that isn't already used, And I was thinking about this today. It's so weird, but I'm just going to say it is something like podcast recommendations. So when you see this on your tweets, it's probably not what you think. They really don't want podcast recommendations. They kind of just want follows and likes and comments. So don't get got, all right? Don't get got, people. Somebody says, give podcast recommendation. Unless somebody really wants a podcast recommendation. Yeah, there's only one to listen to, and that's where the scary things are. But yeah, it's trying to find something that is unique, and you obviously don't want to name it too far from the horror movie. And it's there was one that Casey had recommended, Possum. I think it was Possum, right? And it had nothing to do with the possum, that movie. So those are kind of weird. But I like it because it's different, and I want to watch it because it looks creepy. But Amuse, how about you?
I would say the devil. I mean, obviously, million.
Yeah, you would say the devil. You
yeah,
would.
Well, we're close personal friends. I had to throw a shout out there. No, I'm teasing. But yeah, the devil. There's lots of movies out there pertaining to the devil. One of my favorite things, and Horrell's favorite things, and I'm sure Dexter as well. The word bloody. I mean, bloody anything, or also maybe a little more generic term, but evil. Any of those terms, I imagine, would have a lot of great movies popping up, especially in the horror genre. But I've always found horror movies with pertaining to the devil or anything demonic especially interesting because I think they disturb me the most. So those are some of my favorites. So I'm always, that's definitely one I would throw in there if I was really looking to search for some movies that I wanted to see that I maybe missed. So those are my three.
Yeah, those are all great answers, and a couple others that I was thinking were ghosts,
Yes.
or zombie, and stuff like that. Just a lot of words, and I know that sometimes you run out of choices and whatever. It depends what your movie is, but I've seen some movies that you're kind of like, well, could have come up with a different name for this, or throw in it. Why not throw in your character's name? Your main character. Throw that in with it. Kind of give it something different. Obviously plots about zombies and ghosts and exorcisms and whatever. It's easy, and I know part of it's marketing. You put it out there, and everybody, oh, that movie's got exorcist in the name. Let me go see that movie. So, I'm sure sometimes it comes down to marketing. So maybe it's not all their fault. But again, the end of the day here, we're just looking for more originality here, and not remakes of even titles. So with that, let's jump into the news. And speaking of remakes and stuff like that, we know that monsters have been returning. Universal keeps trying to bring them back, but now it looks like Van Helsing is going to come back. The Man Who Stops the Monsters. Looks like, I think James Wan might be involved with this. I don't know. I guess you kind of figured it was going to happen. I don't know. We'll see. All these monster movies, again, remakes and so forth. We'll see. You can give them a chance, and we'll see. But Van Helsing, I don't know. That doesn't really excite me here. Here's some better news. Is Clyde Barker has regained the U.S. rights to Hellraiser. This is again, kind of like Friday the 13th. The reason why we don't have any more Friday the 13th is because the rights are being disputed. Here it looks like Clyde Barker will get it sometime next year, I believe. The legals of it are awfully confusing, so I don't want to say anything that's not correct. So I'm not going to get into that. But just a continued reminder that there's supposed to be a TV series and even another movie. So we'll see how this all plays out down the line. Let's just hope Clive can fix the mess that they've created over the last several years with Hellraiser. Some better news and more fun news, Funko news, which we always have fun with. There's a Stephen King, a new figure of Stephen King, and it's in black and white. So that's pretty cool. I thought it was an interesting look, and obviously going the black and white route. A little bit of an homage to it there. And I guess that'll be sold at FYE. And speaking of Stephen King, reminder that The Stand is coming to CBS All Access, which of course we don't support because we ain't paying for that crap. But if you do, December 17th, you can catch The Stand if you're very interested in that. And another thing that's going to CBS to die. Let's see. A movie that I recommended, I think about maybe a month ago at the end of October, Spell, is going to be on DVD Blu-ray January 12th. So your chance to catch that in case you missed it in theaters or on digital. Um, and too bad this movie didn't come out for Christmas, because this right here would have made an excellent, and Chris, I'm sure will back me up with this, an excellent Christmas present is the Siberian film 4K is coming out, remastered, uncut, beautiful stuff. It would have been such a great Christmas present for everybody around, but instead it will be out in January 19th. So sorry, if you want to give somebody a late Christmas present, this is the one. This is the one right here.
I'm in. I'm in, all in on this one. I got to see this. I've been wanting to
Yeah.
see this. Yeah.
Oh well, that's it. That's your have somebody send you that for give
Dexter.
them
Dexter.
maybe Dexter. I don't think he's seen it either, but it may not be for his eyes or.
Well, he doesn't have any eyes,
he
so
doesn't really have eyes.
how's he
So I
gonna
don't know
watch it?
I don't know
Yeah.
how he sees all this stuff. He's got some mysterious mojo going on here. But yeah, if you want to do someone a solid and say, hey, you can give me a late Christmas present, do it. And just remember, when you get it on January 13th, this was a Christmas present. Just combine the two. With that, and since we are now in December, I would just throw out to end this some December reminders. Anything for Jackson. We did an interview with the good folks from there a couple of weeks ago. That'll be on Shudder December 3rd. Definitely do not miss that. One of my favorites of this year. Arch Enemy will be coming out to theater and digitals December 11th. Joe Bob Saves Christmas Because We Need Saving, because he saves everything. December 11th on Shudder. And my favorite movie, The Dark and the Wicked, will be on DVD Blu-ray December 15th. So you can actually own one of the best movies of 2020. And The Pale Door, December 17th, also on Shudder. I recommend viewing that one. And a Creepshow holiday special will be December 18th on Shudder. So even though it's December, Shudder still got some good stuff for you guys to check out, as they usually do. And as for recommendation from me, I saw this last week, and I know Chris will probably see it at some point. It's definitely a movie I recommend for him. Is Sky Sharks. I kind of hit a few festivals. I know not everybody's been able to see that movie yet, but definitely that's a movie up Chris's alley. And that will be out sometime next year. I don't know what the exact plans for that is, if it's DVD or digital or so forth. But when that does come out, check that out. And maybe on a holiday recommendation, I thought I would throw in a good movie here. Maybe that's some people have missed. And I believe this one came out in 2016, is Better Watch Out. Kind of a Home Alone kind of theme, but has a big twist to it. But I definitely recommend catching that if you have not seen that and you're looking for some horror during the holidays. And that's it from me and Dexter.
Yeah, Better Watch Out has been on my list to watch. It looks like it's a good movie, so I will definitely take you up on that and see if I can get to it. A Serbian film, man. I saw the news and I really want to see that. I don't know why, because everybody says it's like so taboo, or there's some really hardcore scenes in there, and yeah, I'm gonna check that out, see how that goes. Anyway,
you should let Chris review that one day. A Chris special. We'll give him like bonus time to review just that movie.
I did. It's on my blog. I have reviewed a Serbian film. I think it was an in-depth, hard-hitting review. I think you'll enjoy it. And I'm
going to go back and check it out. Yeah.
If you're wondering what the hype is, read my review and you'll see stuff in my review that's in the movie. And
Zissy's Emporium.
Yeah.
Check it out. Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to hear your review for our movie Castle Freak. So let's get into the creature feature of the week with Chris the Creature.
Yeah, Castle Freak. It's of course, today we're going to talk about the 2020 Castle Freak, not the, was it 1990 or 1988 Castle Freak? Just in brief review, Castle Freak comes out, Full Moon Entertainment, Charles Band, Hall of Fame names in horror made Castle Freak 32 years ago, something like that. Terrific movie. Hall of Fame cast. Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton will team up again, as they did in From Beyond, and as they did in Reanimator. We hope, because Barbara Crampton is so pretty, that she will fare better in Castle Freak back in the 1991. Well, this is the 2021, and it's call it a remake. It's not a sequel. You can call it a remake. It's different than the original Castle Freak. Full Moon Entertainment. They weren't comedies so much, but there was an element of playfulness, an element of fun to them, an element of almost a comic book movie playing out in front of you. And when we watched the original Castle Freak, that's how it played out. It might have been a little darker than a lot of the other Full Moon movies of the 80s and 90s. But still, we now have the 2020 remake of Castle Freak. And this one is going to be a bit darker, a bit more in depth. There's no way you can get through this movie and say, I just saw a neat little light horror movie that was a lot of fun. The fun might be there, and it's a horror movie with scares and gore and nudity and all that. But I think ominous is going to be a better word when you get through with it. The cast, I don't want to say is unknown because they're terrific. And if we probably did a little research, we would find the cast is not nearly as unknown. But this one begins, and this is going to be, Castle Freak is a Lovecraftian tale, H.P. Lovecraft tale. This Castle Freak is all into it. It's not just mentioned, it's not just referred to. And here's a point I want to tell you. Stay for the final credits for a nice little homage. It's a French word, so you can speak French. Homage. I used to say homage. And then I came on this show and I became really smart. So stay for the credits, and I'm not going to tell you anything else other than that, for a nice little homage to H.P. Lovecraft. This one begins young kids. I don't know if you want to call them 20-somethings, college kids. They're partying in Massachusetts. They're jerks. There's nothing redeemable about them. The party is just rock and roll music, booze, weed, probably premarital sex, and everyone's making bad decisions. And there's bad decisions from this one young couple, Johnny and Becca. Johnny and Becca are played by Claire Catherine and Jake Horowitz. Young kids, and they probably, I know I'm going to sound mean, deserve the fate, but a tragedy happens. There's a car crash. She's blinded because of it, because of injuries. And presumably, this movie is taking place either a couple of months or maybe a year afterward. But she's obviously had surgeries that were not able to restore her sight. Her fortune seemingly turn around and seemingly turn around when she finds out her biological mom, who put her up for adoption, has died and left her home in Albania. Now, she won't be able to see it. She's blind. I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me. John, I don't know if it's a husband or boyfriend. I don't believe they have been blessed by clergy as far as their relationship as of yet. But they're going to go to Albania. If I say Romania, I don't know why. Albania, it's not Romania. And I don't mean to infer, same thing, who cares? I don't mean to insinuate that at all. Americans are keenly aware of the cultural differences between Albania and Romania. All right, having said that, Albania, beautiful. It's shot there. After seeing this movie, you want to go there. And there's a big, giant castle there. Surprise! Becca had always assumed that she was given up for adoption because her mom was poor. Oh, no. And couldn't care for her. And then they see the castle. She doesn't see the castle. He does. And that's not my joke. John keeps saying, oh, you should see this. Oh, sorry. There's a And it's appropriate because there is a discomfort there because John is responsible for her blindness and he wants her forgiveness, but she never really gives him. And good for her. He's a jerk. Well, of course, they inherit this castle. And they just figured they'd go to Albania, they'd pick up the house and they'd sell it. And that's what he wants to do. And she's got some mysterious forces seem to be telling her, don't sell it. This is where you belong. Yeah, always watch out for those forces. And they get into the castle, and guess what? And we know because of a backstory at the beginning of the movie, which I won't give away. You can probably guess at what it is. Something is probably behind the walls. Someone, something. Now, this is classic because Becca seems to be slowly bonding with whatever is got a grip on that castle, the evil. And we know what it is because we saw it at the beginning. Well, we think we do. It's actually a lot more detailed than we think it is. No spoilers here. But John doesn't. And when John sees that, he starts deceiving Becca. Like, no, you don't know that. It's not there. It's not, and it is because she can't see it, but she knows. And the whatever is behind the walls has an attachment to Becca, and it's almost a protective force for her, not anybody else. And this is classic because guess who's coming to help them move? Remember all those jerks at the party back in the first scene of the movie? Well, all of those jerks had, I'm going to be the first one to die written all over their foreheads. And so, usually you can pick out the first one to die. These all had it. And you're just, they're all going to be wiped out. Well, drama and intrigue is introduced because one of the skanks at that party has her eyes on John. And now that Becca's blind, she's going to make a move on John. And she's not going to fare well because of this, because whatever evil is in there is not going to like the fact that she's betraying Becca. Becca finds something, and what she finds, H.P. Lovecraft fans are not going to be surprised, but it's going to open up a whole lot of doors, not only in her knowledge of what's going on, but H.P. Lovecraft, when doors are open, clouds open up and things come through. H.P. Lovecraft was a sickly child. He had almost no immune system. And they had to protect him from germs. And for H.P. Lovecraft, when they mentioned germs to you and I when we were kids, germs, yeah, whatever. Germs were very real. If he got them, he would probably have died. And so when you talk about these things floating in the air coming at you, they were very, very real to H.P. Lovecraft. And so when we see a movie like this, those things, when portals open up coming through and these disgusting things, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but just be ready for it. Like the From Beyond movie. Remember they came through? That's probably what he thought germs were. There's stuff on the other side, which Becca's relationship with this house comes dangerously close to opening. And once that happens, forget about the creature or the monster that is in the walls. That's minor league compared to the potential of what can happen here. Very similar, in a sense, to the first Castle Freak movie, in that there's a Castle Freak who's a monster. But this one goes way beyond that to something more Lovecraftian, the whole Lovecraftian philosophy, the whole subject of the Necromonicon, and who it's talking about. And so I don't want to give away any spoilers, but if you said, Castle Freak, pretty good movie, and then a couple of days later said, they could have gone in more in depth, they could have talked more about this. Well, this one does. And it's going to get wild, and then it's going to get more wild, and then it's going to get so wild, you're going to say, I don't believe they just did that. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, you can see Castle Freak, which Ken, you can help us out on this. I think it's coming out very, very shortly, isn't it?
Yeah. This is on December 4th. So if you're listening to the podcast, it'll already be out. But if you're watching the live stream or you go back and watch the YouTube video, December 4th, it was released in the U.S. I believe it's in the U.K. right now, today, but I could be wrong. But I liked it. I thought it was a brilliant film.
Yeah,
I gotta admit, I didn't see the first one. Yeah, uh, and we'll get into it, when we get into the interview here. But there were certain elements that I just loved. I thought, the scenery. You mentioned the castle, the Albanian castle, the setting, just the background, the creature, the monster there. The acting was pretty good too. Like, I mean, there were some unknown actors, some newer actors in there, actresses. I thought it was good. I had no complaints. Definitely a lot of sex in this one. I was watching it on the bus, and I got that side eye from all the people riding with me, But they know they watch it too, so yeah.
Emily Sweet, we got to shout her out. She did terrific in this movie, and unfortunately, when you see her from the first scene, you know her fate. But still, quite a attractive actress.
She's a babe. She is a babe.
I hope that we get her on the show someday because I think she would dig us.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back, everybody, with our guest.